There is a particular kind of exhaustion that has nothing to do with how much you have worked. It lives behind your eyes after a phone call, settles in your chest after a dinner, follows you home from rooms you never wanted to enter. You cannot sleep it off, because it is not your body that is tired, it is your soul, worn thin by people you keep choosing to let in. And the hardest truth you will hear today is this: you chose them. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, the book we now call the Meditations, words never meant for any audience but himself. He wrote about the people who flattered him, the ones who lied to him, the ones who consumed his time and returned nothing. He was the most powerful man in the known world, and even he had to remind himself daily that proximity is not loyalty and presence is not value. Even emperors must guard their gates. This video is not about hatred. It is not a permission slip to burn every bridge in your life out of pride or paranoia. What it is a map. A map of the specific kinds of people who, if left unchecked in your world, will quietly dismantle every good thing you are trying to build. Study the map, then make your decisions with open eyes. The first type is the one who celebrates your failures more than your successes, and they do it so quietly you almost miss it. They say the right things on the surface, "Oh, that's too bad," or "I knew that wouldn't work," but there's something underneath the words, a warmth in their tone that does not match the message. This is the person who needs you to remain small so that they can feel large. They are not your enemy in the open, they are your enemy at the root. You will recognize this person by what they do not say. They will not congratulate you with any real energy. They will pivot quickly from your wins to their own stories, or to your past mistakes, or to reasons why your success might not last. Over time, you will notice that you stop sharing good news with them, not consciously, but because some part of you already knows the celebration will feel hollow. That instinct is not jealousy. It is discernment. Trust it. The second type is the constant victim, and this requires care because real suffering is real and compassion is not weakness. The distinction is this: a person in genuine pain wants to find their way through it. The chronic victim wants company in it. They do not want solutions. They reject everyone you offer. What they want is your attention, your energy, your time, given freely and endlessly, in exchange for nothing but more problems. You will pour yourself out for this person, and they will be empty again by morning. You will solve the crisis of this week, and next week will bring a new one, identical in feeling if not in detail. The Roman Stoics had a name for this pattern. They called it voluntary slavery, the choice to remain in chains when the door stands open. You cannot carry someone who has decided to lie down. You will only break your own back trying. The third type is the one who speaks of your private life to others, the confidant who is not confidential. You told them something in trust, in the quiet between you, and somehow it traveled. Perhaps you found out directly. Perhaps you just noticed the knowing look on a face that should not have known. Either way, something sacred was broken. And here's what Seneca understood: a man who cannot keep your secret does not keep your interest at heart. This is not always malice. Sometimes it is carelessness, which is almost worse. Malice can be confronted. Carelessness tells you that your pain, your private life, your vulnerabilities simply did not matter enough to protect. When someone shows you this, believe them immediately. Pull back quietly. You do not need to make a scene. You simply need to stop feeding the mouth that speaks without thinking. Stop. Before we go further, ask yourself honestly, how many of these people are already in your life right now? Not as a distant memory, not as a cautionary tale about someone else's story. Right now, in your phone, at your table, in your circle, the discomfort you feel is not coincidence. It is recognition. And recognition, as the Stoics taught, is the first act of a free mind. The fourth type is the one who only appears when they need something. You have not heard from them in months, perhaps years, and then your name appears on your screen, and you already know before you answer what the conversation will be about. They need a favor. They need money. They need an introduction. They need your expertise, your time, your connections, served on a plate with a side of your goodwill. What makes this type dangerous is not the asking. Asking is human. What makes them dangerous is the absence. They are not there when you are struggling. They are not there when you need a voice at midnight or a hand in a dark season. They calculate your value and what you can give, and the moment you cannot give it, they recalculate you out of their lives until the next need arises. This is not a relationship. It is a transaction with no return. The fifth type is the one who argues with your ambition. Every plan you share is met with a reason it will not work. Every dream is dissected for its weaknesses before its strengths are even acknowledged. They call this realism. They call it caring about you, looking out for you, keeping your feet on the ground. But notice their realism never seems to apply to their own life, only to yours. That asymmetry is the tell. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, who was born a slave and died free, said that we must be careful of whose opinions we allow to shape our choices. Not because all criticism is wrong, but because most criticism that comes dressed as concern is actually the critic's own fear, projected onto your future. The person who never tried will always have 1,000 reasons why you should not try either. Their fear is not your evidence. The sixth type is the one who competes with you, not openly, not in sport or business, where competition is honest, but secretly, in the smallest things. They turn every conversation into a comparison. Your story reminds them of a better story. Your achievement prompts them to mention a larger one. They cannot celebrate alongside you because in their mind, your elevation is their diminishment. Every room they enter has a scoreboard only they can see. This is the moment right here where most people make the critical error. They think, if I just shrink a little, if I dim my light, if I stop talking about my wins, the competition will stop and the friendship can survive. But you cannot build a real life by making yourself smaller to fit someone else's comfort. The Stoics were clear. Your virtue, your growth, your becoming these are not negotiable. They are the whole point. The seventh type is the chaos carrier, the person whose life is in permanent, spectacular disorder, and who brings that disorder into every space they occupy. Plans fall apart around them. Drama follows them like weather. Emergencies are always happening, always urgent, always requiring your immediate presence. And somehow, impossibly, the chaos is always someone else's fault. They are the eye of a storm that never ends. Marcus Aurelius governed an empire in near-constant crisis, wars, plagues, political betrayal. Yet his journals reveal a man of extraordinary internal calm, because he understood that you cannot create order in the world around you if you allow disorder to live inside your circle unchecked. You are not being cold by protecting the quality of your environment. You are being intelligent. Your peace is not a luxury, it is the soil everything else grows in. The eighth type is the one who lies not in dramatic, obvious ways, but in small, convenient ones. They lie about where they were. They lie about what they said. They lie about what they meant. Each individual lie seems almost too small to confront, which is precisely why they work. Over time, these small lies build a false architecture between you, and one day you realize you do not actually know this person at all. You know the version they have been presenting. Seneca wrote that nothing is more wretched than a man who is all suspicion, who can trust nothing, who must forever be on guard, even against those closest to him. But he also wrote that you should test a man before you trust him, and trust him before you confide in him. The chronic liar forces you into the first state perpetual suspicion because they have made trust impossible. That is not a friendship. That is a surveillance operation. We are halfway through this journey, and I want you to stay with me because the types we're about to discuss are the ones most people never identify in time. They are harder to see, subtler in their damage, more easily confused with love or loyalty or friendship. The ones we have covered so far are visible if you look. The ones ahead require something more, the willingness to see what you would rather not. The ninth type is the one who controls through guilt. They have mastered the art of making you feel responsible for their emotional state at all times. When you set a boundary, they suffer visibly. When you say no, they withdraw in a way designed to be noticed. When you succeed without them, they remind you of everything they have sacrificed. The guilt is the leash, and they hold the other end with both hands. This is one of the most difficult removals because this type is often someone you love, a parent, a partner, a friend of many years. The love is real. The manipulation may not even be conscious. But the effect is identical regardless of intent. You are not free. You are making decisions based on their reactions rather than your values. And a life built on managing someone else's emotions is not your life at all. The 10th type is the one who has decided who you are and refuses to update their version of you no matter how much you change. They knew you at your worst, perhaps, and they hold you there. Or they knew you in a role, the troubled one, the quiet one, the one who needs saving, and every time you try to grow beyond that role, they pull you back with memory. They are not trying to hurt you. They are trying to maintain a world that makes sense to them. But you are not who you were. And you are not obligated to perform an old version of yourself to keep someone comfortable. The Stoics believed that growth, the daily refinement of character, was the highest human endeavor. If the people in your life require you to stop growing in order to stay, then staying is surrender. You cannot become who you are meant to be while wearing the costume of who you used to be. Consider this carefully. The people who are genuinely for you will celebrate your evolution. They will not be threatened by your becoming. They will look at the version of you that has grown and feel something close to pride, not possession, not nostalgia for the old you, but genuine joy at who you are becoming. These people exist. And the more space you create by removing the wrong ones, the more clearly you will see them. The 11th type is the one who disrespects you in small doses, just enough to keep you uncertain, never enough to give you a clean reason to leave. A comment here, a dismissal there, a joke at your expense and company. And when you react, you are told you are too sensitive, too serious, unable to take a joke. This is called minimization, and it is one of the oldest tools of disrespect. Make the wound, then make the wounded person responsible for the bleeding. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we should not be upset that others do not share our values, but we must be clear about our own. Clarity about your own worth is the antidote to this type. When you know what you deserve, the small disrespects do not make you uncertain, they make you decisive. You do not need to argue or explain or convince this person that you deserve better. You simply demonstrate it by leaving. The 12th type is the one who is never wrong, who cannot apologize, cannot admit fault, cannot sit with the discomfort of having caused harm. Every conflict with them ends the same way. Somehow, you are responsible for what they did. The story gets revised, the facts get rearranged, your perception gets questioned until you begin to question it yourself. This is not a personality quirk. This is a fundamental inability to share reality with another person. You cannot build trust with someone who cannot acknowledge error. Trust requires the knowledge that if this person wrongs you, they will face it honestly. Without that, every interaction becomes a calculated risk. You are always wondering what version of events they are carrying, always bracing for the moment they rewrite something you both witnessed. That is not a relationship. That is a minefield you have to navigate alone. Here's the question that changes everything, and I want you to sit with it, not rush past it. When you imagine removing each of these people from your life, what is the first feeling that comes? If it is relief, even a small, guilty, quickly suppressed relief, pay attention to that. Relief is the body's honest answer before the mind can construct a justification for keeping things the same. Your nervous system already knows what your loyalty refuses to admit. The 13th type is the one who gossips not occasionally, not about genuinely public matters, but as a primary mode of connection. They bond with you by talking about others, which means they bond with others by talking about you. The intimacy they offer is counterfeit built not on genuine trust, but on shared judgment of absent people. And you already know, somewhere underneath the entertainment of it, that the story of you is being told somewhere you cannot hear. The 14th type is the one who drains your energy simply by being present, not through any specific behavior you can name, but through some accumulated weight that settles on you whenever they are near. You leave conversations with them feeling depleted in ways you cannot fully explain. You dread the interaction before it happens, feel a quiet relief when it ends. This type is perhaps the most difficult to justify removing because you cannot point to a single offense. But the Stoics were clear that the quality of your attention is among your most precious possessions. Your energy, your focus, your inner calm, these are finite resources. You are allowed to spend them wisely. You do not owe anyone access to your vitality. The inability to name the exact reason for your depletion does not make the depletion less real. Trust the evidence of your experience, not just the logic of your obligations. Now we reach the 15th type, and this is the one that cuts closest, the one most people watching this video will recognize last and feel deepest. This is the version of you that you keep performing for people who do not deserve the performance. The accommodating version, the agreeable version, the version that says yes when it means no, that laughs at things that are not funny, that makes itself smaller to keep the peace. The people in your life who require that performance from you, who need you to be less honest, less whole, less yourself in order to maintain the relationship, those people are the most important to step back from. Not always with drama, not always with finality, but with a quiet, steady reduction of the performance. Begin to show up as you actually are. The ones who stay are the ones worth keeping. Removing people is not a single dramatic act. It is not always a confrontation or an announcement or a burning of bridges. More often, it is a quiet recalibration, fewer calls, shorter visits, less of yourself offered to spaces that do not honor it. You do not have to hate someone to create distance. You do not have to be wrong to protect yourself. The Stoics called this the discipline of action, doing what is right for your flourishing, calmly, without cruelty, without apology. What fills the space left behind? This is the question people never ask because they are too afraid of the emptiness to imagine what might grow in it. But solitude chosen, intentional solitude, is not loneliness. It is the condition in which you finally hear yourself think. It is the quiet in which your own values become audible again. It is the garden cleared of weeds, ready at last for something worth growing. The people worth keeping are not perfect, no one is. They are the ones who tell you hard truths with kindness, who celebrate you without competing, who stay when the season is dark and ask nothing for the staying, who let you be wrong and love you through the correction, who grow alongside you rather than resenting the growth. These people exist, and you will find them, but only once you have stopped filling every seat at your table with people who should never have been invited. Marcus Aurelius did not live a perfect life. He kept some people close who disappointed him. He wrestled with the same pull of loyalty and obligation that you feel right now. But he came back, again and again, in the pages of his private writing, to this central truth, that the quality of your mind depends on the quality of what you allow into it. Your circle is not just social, it is philosophical. It shapes what you believe is possible for yourself. So here is what I ask of you, not as a command, but as an invitation from one person who has wrestled with these same questions to another. Take inventory, not with anger, not with the intention to punish, but with the clear, compassionate eyes of someone who has decided that their one life is worth protecting. Ask of each person in your inner world, does this relationship make me more of who I want to be, or less? The answer will not always be comfortable. It will always be true. If this video found you at the right moment, if something in it names something you have been carrying without a name, then carry it forward. Not as resentment, not as a grudge, but as clarity. Clarity is the beginning of every good decision you will ever make. And if you want more of this, more Stoic wisdom, more honest conversations about the life you are trying to build, then stay close to this channel. We are building something here, one video at a time, for the people who are serious about becoming who they were made to be.